Get another sausage biscuit when you get time. Whoever gets time. Sausage biscuit.
Just one?
Just one for here.
All right. 108? There you go, sir.
You know, you can look that up online and see what the balance is on each card.
I've never seen a bear in a while. I have been in the Sierra Mountains all over. Well, I know, I've seen them on TV, but never in a while.
It gives you quite a different
Oh yeah, well, we saw something pretty spectacular. I have never seen a brother here. We have never seen. I said, I'm glad you saw it because nobody would have believed it.
Deer, elk, she does all that stuff, yeah, going through there. And then they have a best part. I love to see. I'll never forget. And I like to see when I went to Florida that one time we went to SeaWorld. And everything and all them people riding on their backs.
Well, I'm surprised we didn't see you riding some dolphin off into the sea.
Yeah, because I just love them critters.
I called Pastor Niemeyer one day. I can't remember what he was looking for. I called him. And he says, I've got 2 bears out in my ride and they're just there. So he said, they're just turned up. Take it. Everything. Where you going here, kid?
Yeah. Have you ever seen that commercial on TV? Have that deer that gets in that guy's garage with their mask?
Ever heard that deer story where they thought they killed that deer and they put him in the car and they go down the road and they ripped his car off. I'm telling you. Yeah, that was a good spectacular thing.
Got about 4 things on my list. I've got some Moses. I didn't forget the Chinese. If you get over there when they make that fresh, and I'll either go there or down to Lynn. Take a Valentine's, I got it.
He said,
You'll hear that thing for the country line.
Never mind the rest. It's okay. You haven't had enough food.
Well, take that with you, you can pay for it. Okay? I know.
Could you remind me to get her next thing? I will.
And then I made sure the little girl had water before I left today.
You guys want to go to the down and... Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's see it. I got my cookie dough. Oh, you did. All right, see this? Let's get that here. That's her money. What is that, 20?
30.
You gave me 20. Okay.
Gave it to her because I didn't know for sure how much it was.
I don't remember.
Here comes a box in the mail with 2 more pairs of shoes. I guess the line or something.
Are you taking them back? Is that the one? Which one did you say you had to trade? You told me one of them you could take back.
It just was too small.
Yeah.
I had to go back and get it. If you get a women's, I buy an 8. If you get a men's, I buy a 7. Yep.
sausage biscuit. Sure. One. From here. Appreciate it. Thanks. No problem. I really don't like cops. I'm not gonna get serious. This is McDonald restaurant at 11506. This is C Street, which is right on the main strip, right of Washington. Where McDonald's have the culinary series for the McFlurries and the cafe lattes and mochas, which they have the mocha and all services here at breakfast. Got the sausage biscuits and also the washed potato. Scone Connor, Lamb Weston, McCain's, SBC, and also Lineage called Columbia Storage. That's on Bowles Road, Findlay, Washington, the biggest refrigeration freezer plant for potatoes. All the product that goes off without the pallets are frozen and burned and damaged, and they're reported to Lamb Weston. The corporate office, the regional office, the field officers, and the Sputnik Lockwoods, and also the John Deere Evergreen implement. John Deere began from Sputnik Lockwoods and Sputnik local generators. These generators are connected to the Vista utility outlets and also connected to the Grant County DOD administration office on the skirting, on the outside skirting and the skirting of the fields of the area, which they transport their freezer into the here at McDonald's here at the freight 1010 East Street South, Fredo, Washington. The telephone number is 509-754-4915. As you can tell, your physical and your Class A, B, and the CDL license has to be signed off by a judge and also signed on the abstract of the Department of Licensing here at Fredo. Your chauffeur's license, so your driver's license abstract record shows up all the way to 5 to 10 to 15, ever since the age of 15 years old. The possession of your MIP, MICs, and also your controlled substances while before you're age 18. Any caught with driving violations on expires and it won't expire, you still have the incentive to get your driver's license, even if you have a DWI or DUI, minor resistant consumption, and also they're selling drugs and alcohol contributes to your abstract record because of the manufacturer record, the people that you're in the car and vehicle with. Now, the people that you're in the car and vehicle with, it shows on your abstract, and that's Mrs. and Mrs. Vasquez here at the Fredo Courthouse, and the Department of Licensing and the Cruiser Academy, and also the essential services they have for the Driver Academy at Boost Mobile. Boost Mobile here in Othello, Washington, by Telecom. Now, Telecom never been there. It used to be a pet store, veterinarian office there. And Benson Funeral Home never been there at the GTA. Now the GTA Benson Funeral Home. It's in Mueller's Funeral Home and Coroner's office here in Kennewick, Richland, Pasco, afraid of Moses Lake, and also administration office here in Richville. See the common fact cause of death, the coroner's office here, though. It's also Harris Services, Human Services, Melissa Knight, Larissa Perez. Also Mr. Sling, and he's in jury duty as we speak. Now, McDonald's restaurant, 11507, you have to get your food handler's card. Abstract record shows up in Human Resources at the agencies. Gun conceal permit is also detained here at the George Washington 4256 law firm, Cover Tellers, McKenna law firm on Olive. John Cooney, and that's Spokane, that's 910 West, it's called Indiana, a Boston Pizza restaurant. So you have a 30-day receipt of the purchase of your services, and then you're rotating your sausage biscuit also. The sausage biscuit is strongly recommended since it's on the dollar menu. McDonald's required a request on their reserve fries, hash brown, and also their reserve fry, which is a stuffed fry that goes into a final raw product, 60 miles an hour through blades. The piping is damaged, and that's Mr. Don Edson from Warden City Hall, which is faxed Andy Miller at CO Bend, Washington, 509-735-3591. And that's U.S. Marshal Taylor, U.S. Marshal Service. She weighs about 70 pounds. And she was malnutrition until the administration of the laptop. So the fingerprint and the sensor on the service for lowering caskets, open cremation and crematorium. That's class A. That's with several thousands of counts of racketeering. So anyone in the federal units, I'm sure they'll probably get rid of him because we don't want to be in the federal units or incarcerated with any of the manifest record or abstract record, because all this information, all these criminal convicts and federal feds, which are malicious premeditated murderers, telling me his first name and his last name right here. And they know where he lives. And he keeps on harassing me. I'm fine.
You okay, sir?
1831 Social Security was Cincinnati. That's the third location where they moved the Social Security office. It's the services they provide for the washed potato. Skull and Conroe. Lamb Weston. Expansion in Richland. Expansion in Othello, Washington, which is the federal courthouse. Mr. Wallace Cherish showing cabinet, number 56, C Street, across the street. Services they provided for Mrs. Melissa McKnight. Anointed her fourth chair, she got elected. Mr. Kim, Secretary of State Kim Wayman, is upstairs as well. Miss Kim Wayman goes all the way from the United States Army, which is a D9, it says United States America, United States America on it. UBI number 602720. And the services they provide for the election campaign, which is at YouTube, Facebook, and also online. That's MM. And that's Larissa, L-U-R-S, Perez, P-R-A, at Freda, Washington, Courthouse, Washington, Gov. Now, Andy Miller at CO Bench Washington Bar Association has been associated for years, or actually for centuries. Century means 100 years, so that's been Mueller administration been in the system ever since George Washington was retrieved out of the vagina. As you can see, the inclinated mother, father, and band numbers are on first and last name. That's me, George Washington, 56. My neighbor, 56, which is 42. The most powerful equipment ever built was the Saratoga. Back archive of Saratoga, they sunk Puerto Rico. They sucked the Koreans, the Vietnamese, and also the Laotians, and also the, how should we say, Mr. J. Mueller, United States Air Force, called you Lemonites. For you before you quiver and swiver and hide under a hole, just like their services of Mr. Satan himself, Mr. Graham, and also Mr. and Mrs. Scalia was lowered in the casket, and all services were paid in full. All amounts are paid in the accounts of Social Security Office for location new. That's Gage Boulevard, and also Columbus, Cincinnati. You can run and get your head start all you want and hide in your sheriff or your stipage car and police car. Mr. J. Mueller will have you executed in public, lowered in public, and as it says, 1105, and this is the Peach Orchard, Apple Orchard at 1313 West Grand Rendezvous. A gold mine, a coal mine. Mrs. Coffee across the street, and Miss Pelto or Miss Palouse in Tri-City Herald, where Roberta Barela banded Felix Barela at Anna Miller's office, and also Tri-City Herald. Diamonds, gold, rubies, sapphires, how'd you say Mrs. Taylor would say? Second Saturday Saint, that's later day Saints on Gage Boulevard, Lud, Fonts. Seven-headed dragon, and the army individual that sits on a white hammering horse with golden hooves and lighting up the surface of the field. Reincarnating you as a horse, or reincarnating you as a rat, or reincarnating you as a bald eagle, scavenger, or owl. Here at Bravo Military Base in Yakima, Washington, Kennewick, Washington, is a chore. And these serpent Russians showing up with their head blowing off in the back of the trunk, driving around town, showing up at the Kennewick Police Department with your dead body exposed to the public, making sure you're dead and prognosing you stole from the community, you stole for some millions and millions of people. Mr. Obama in the holding cell with their services. We got witnesses left and right. Cowards. Senator McCain wanted money, and he got his money converted to the Phoenix Camelback, which is the penthouse on Van Buren, where Mr. Yates murdered all the prostitutes in Spokane, Wash, where Mr. Yates dropped me off with dead bodies in the back of the truck. So you go to the crematorium with Jay Mueller's administration office. That's $80,000 for the aviation, compound machine, stealth bomber, and Mr. Mueller was picked up and dispatched and picked up the administration office and sent off. And their services in serving with George Bush Sr., Mr. J. Mueller's still alive. Mr. George Bush is deceased, and also Barbara's is deceased. Mueller carried on the Amy Mueller, Highlands Middle School Administration Office, United States of America. So the signatures are signed in Andy Miller's office, Commissioner's office, and everything's signed individually, because I never will ever, and never been in prison in my life. I never been in criminal and been in institutions in my life. And they pretty much stuck it and hashed it out. Administration office, left and right with the signature. Mother and father, and leaving me at the Tri-State Herald, and you want a signature. You want a bench press, you want an incline press, you want a barber color, you want to run. Talk all that, S-A-H-I-T, B-U-L-H-I-T. And look what happens. Look what happens. Put you in a gurney, a body bag, and drag you out of here. And didn't do nothing wrong, got witnesses left and right. Got the 60s, the 50s, the 40s, the 30s, the 20s, the 1900s, the 1800s, and George Washington's immediate family members. And that signature, and my grandmother did, the real family members. It's Donald Trump. He loves having sex with Roberta. Donald Trump. He was so involved with Roberta that he wanted to get married. And there's too much conflict. Mr. J. Mueller, George Bush, administration of the Kennedy bodies are there no more with these bare hands. The Bobby Kennedys and also the John F. Kennedys, that I removed them from the funeral home and the Mueller's funeral home, because that's the United States Air Force. He loves playing pinochle, spades, and he doesn't like people stealing from him. He kept threatening to kill Green Berets, Daryl Johnson, in public. So I flooded the lake out with a bunch of Jews, Muslims, Shiites. And there's Jay Mueller yelling at me, and Amy yelling at me. And there's a big rock weighing about 1,300 pounds. Me throwing it around because TPLA, he's a gold miner. Daryl Johnson, I charge you $70,000 anywhere in the world. Anytime you have that, I charge you $70,000 in U.S. Bank. And of course, Lola Hernandez, a Lemonite, of course. They threw Lola Hernandez around, Mr. AR-15 for Patrick behind Winco in Clearwater, and jumped her with the siblings, my immediate child, inside her hand. And they're pushing her around, stepping on her throat, choking her out, and taking my child away from her. Because she's a Lemonite. See, Jay Mueller has a straight-up conversation, a decent conversation. At least he's truthful. He will execute you, murder you, and he's a still free man. He's a United States Air Force. Mr. George Bush likes getting picked up by the Pacific Northwest to get George called, of course. USS Washington. That's the flag that's at the Mueller's administration office. That's a flying, hanging. The George Washington emblem that's on the wall, that's the original George Washington picture. So the truth will come out, the tongue out of the mouth, two-bladed sword, cut the 7 heads off of the serpent of the LDS church chief, and all, of course, the chief, commander, and what have you. And put you in the font and baptize you, submerge you, expose you to community because of the 9 million Pisces, which is Al-Qaeda, ISIS, in San Luis Obispo. Taliban members, ISIS members, Indians. Oh, by the way, that's the scumbag Manus right there. He's here having sex with that lady, Jean Marie Bolt, right there. And Jean Marie Bolt, and that's Joe Johnson showing a picture to Joe Johnson. That's Jean Marie Bolt. They're having sex with that right there. They make things up. They don't, Joe Johnson, they threatened to kill him. In front of the public, show a picture of her there, him dreaming. This is George Washington's house, you know. They warned you to tell you. You talk all that smack. We're at McDonald's. Let me give you the address. This is 1010 Basin Street, South Free to watch 988-252-276. That's Rebecca Johnson, Daryl Johnson. That's they're doing the push mowers at the administration. Serving her ass to. I'm serving your ass to your mouth. So good for you, Daryl. You want some more steroids? Come on, hit me. Oh, is he picking on you, Jamie? Is Daryl Johnson timid? We all showed up and asked. Fabian's Barela with the AK-40M, SKS, M4M, Uzis, Heckles. He's sitting there confronting him and saying that he's nothing but a snitch-ass rat. Nobody likes him in the community. They're looking at him lower and casting explosive communities just like Mr. Sodom State Patrolman that harassed Felix Barela, Lower Hernandez, that won the lotto ticket, South Dakota. Strong arm. Look at the strong arm emblems there. Oh, that's on George Washington. She's not a terrorist. She's not Al-Qaeda. She's not Taliban. She's an American U.S. citizen. They don't like Negroes. They don't like Jews. They don't like gooks. They don't like chinks. No racist. Now look at the tattoo patterns, and that's a bot. See this? Look at this. That's my name, Sister Barela. She's a good person. Amber's driving around. She lost it. She's at the tobacco shop drinking alcohol. She's trying to back up on me. I walk around that garbage, that white trash. I walk around that white trash out to the 9 million people. Pisces, Octown members. And we got on YouTube, Facebook, just beating down San Luis Obispo. They're United States Marines getting beat up. Special Elite Forces get beat up. Daryl Johnson's Desert Storm get beat up. Good for you. Want a fingerprint? They'll show up and have you shot and killed in public. See all these girls testify against you're a rapist, child molester, and then they got Eastern and Western State. You got these members that come in on the administration office. It's all good. Record it all down. He'll tell you everything.